It's Tuesday in Tryon, North Carolina, and it's been a hot day, very humid and hot. Not as bad as Florida and a lot of other places, but pretty hot. Thankfully, late this afternoon, a storm blew around us, and even though we didn't get any rain from it, it cooled the air off, and now it's again a very pleasant upper 70s, and we're thankful for that. An interesting thing happened this week. Down at the end of the lake, there are a number of racks where residents of the mountain development in this gated community can store their boats to put into the lake that's around us. And there's a sign there that says no fishing while people are swimming, and there's various information around there that pretty well let you know that those are private boats. Those are not for rent. There's no rental sign. There's no sign saying these are for the use of all of the community. So it becomes pretty apparent that these are private boats. Yet, as a young man was taking one of the boats down off of the rack, the owner of the boat happened to be watching from his home not very far away. It was not me. But he happens to be a prominent doctor in Asheville, and he saw the young man taking down the boat, and actually he took it down pretty roughly and was dragging it along the beach to put it in the water. And he confronted the young man and he said, young man, those boats are private boats. And the young man said, yes, I know. And he said, well, you need to know that that's my boat that you're taking down. And he says, well, I didn't know that, but I'm just borrowing it. At that point, the father of the young boy said, yes, he's just borrowing it. And I thought to myself, what a contrast with what we've been studying in the book of Proverbs. We've been looking at instructions in righteousness to young people. And here is a father who's doing just the opposite with his young person. He's not teaching him righteousness. No, I'm not teaching him, I'm sorry that I took your boat, or that that was wrong of me to take a boat without asking, but rather justifying his son's wrong action. Isn't it interesting when we compare that then with Proverbs that we've been looking at for the last several weeks, where we have this contrast between wisdom and immorality, wisdom and godliness against worldliness and immorality. Well, when we come to chapter 8, we see this contrast being exemplified in it. He talks about wisdom coming down one street and understanding coming down the other street, and they meet together into this wonderful understanding righteousness. And it says, this is written to the sons of man, youth, naive ones, and it speaks noble things, right things. It speaks truth. What a contrast with what we've been seeing with immorality and ungodliness, where it's wickedness being an abomination to the Lord, and where it's lips that ooze flattery in order to accomplish its wicked goals. And here we have the righteousness which has nothing crooked and nothing perverse. And in verse 9, it's really quite incredible. It says, it's simple to those who understand. It's simple to those who understand. The Bible is not a difficult book. As a matter of fact, most of the translations in English today are said to be readable by sixth graders. That's right. Most of the books that are translated today can easily be read by a sixth grader. Simple to those who understand, and right to those who find knowledge. You see, when we understand the principles, when those principles reach our hearts, then we find that we gain instruction, which is more valuable than silver, knowledge, which is better than gold, and wisdom, which is better than any jewels. That's exactly what it says in verses 10 and 11. All we need is an ear to hear, an eye to see, and a mind to understand, and finally a heart to commit to it. I'm reminded a number of years ago, we have very dear friends that we had here in South Carolina in those days who had a Down syndrome child. And God gave him enough understanding that he accepted Jesus Christ as his personal Savior, because the book is so simple. Simple to those who seek righteousness, those who seek understanding, those who seek. So we need an ear to hear. We need an eye to see. We need a mind to understand. And we need a heart that's committed to it. Just think, what would have happened along the course of history if Adam and Eve had listened and been obedient? What would have happened to Cain and his brother Abel if he had listened to righteousness and instructions in righteousness? What would have happened to all of the scriptures that you can think of? Eli, Saul. What would have happened to all of these people, the people of Noah's day? What would have happened to them if they'd had an ear to hear, an eye to see, a mind to understand, and a heart to commit? Now remember, very key, we see that righteousness speaks noble things and right things in truth, and wickedness is an abomination. But verse 9 tells us the Bible is simple to those who understand. And all we have to do is obey that very simple righteousness and instruction. Sad, isn't it? All the places in history that could have been different if man would have just taken those simple words of the scriptures and applied them to their lives, put them in their hearts. Totally different world. Would there be blacks that were being shot by policemen who perhaps acted too quickly? I don't think so. Would there have been blacks that were rebelling against police, taunting them and causing them to have those feelings? I don't think so. Would there be blacks shooting blacks, whites shooting whites? I don't think so. You see, the problem is not a race problem. The problem is a heart problem, both in the hearts of whites and in the hearts of blacks. In the hearts of mankind, there's evil. But if we'll just open our ears, we'll open our eyes, and we'll open our minds to understanding and commit in our hearts what God said. What were his 2 commandments? He wouldn't narrow it down to one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul. What was the second part? And your neighbor as yourself. He didn't say neighbors that look just like you. He said your neighbor as yourself. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.